The inspiration becoming an artist was late in life. I spent a lot of my life as an Asia expert. Then I guess it was 12, 13 years ago, when we had moved to Long Island, that one day I was walking along the beach in front of our house, and lo and behold, there was a nice piece of wood there, about that long. And I said, why don't I go up and tinker with it? So I started shaping it, and then went to the local hardware store, and I said, what do I use for paint? And there was a kind of joy, a tactile joy in doing it. And a number of exhibitions in that period. The Chinese used to do the same thing. And they have wonderful root systems that they turn into tables, into seats, and so it's partly out of that tradition. But the other thing about it was that I've always been fascinated by forests and walks through the forest, and their kind of energy before I was even making any works came out of the trees. When these pieces of wood, broken trees, show up, I was suddenly seeing sort of the raw aesthetic that was in the pieces of wood. And that was a lot of fun. Because of the fact that I have dissociative identity disorder, which used to be called multiple personality disorder, those who are kind and really want to understand what's going on inside greet me with open arms. When you work at it seriously and try to recognize that each of them is encountering the others, you find out what all human beings have, that we have multiplicities inside of ourselves. We act differently in different places. Well, you find that you have all of those capacities and you understand who they are, and they all have names. You can become an artist who can look in multiple directions at the same time. Now that I look back on my life, almost every decade, I get excited about doing something new. And now I've had a decade of sculpting, and now I'm moving into works on paper. Well, the ink painting I'd always wanted to do, and but I never thought I could possibly do it. And it ended up being both an education and being fun. But I think most of all, it's just a completely new world. And I'm as fascinated by the study of techniques, the study of what kinds of materials you can use, and to try them all. I like the fact that I've settled on pastels, stuck with it for a good long time now, and am in a place where it works in terms of describing the cellular things. I think the next one is going to be looking for objects of meditation. And so if you get your mind on that, you start looking at the world differently. You can find things that you would overlook if you were just flipping through a magazine. I love sweeping long lines. I like the shape of things that come to a point. I like things that have visually that you can see the weight that you're conveying. What you're doing is you're putting on paper something that can have different definitions in terms of what your eye sees. And it's kind of you're playing with little things like that. People recognize that you can be cohesive at the same time that you have all of these multiple personalities, and you can actually see them. So what you think of a different mood when you go to a different place, all of those things are active at the same time, which helps art. A lot of people who have DID make art. I do it to kind of find a purpose, which is healing, but then to go beyond that and to sort of question what you can find that excites you, that energizes you, and then find the best way in which to convey that.